I'm Prav MJ. I'm the Artistic Director of Liminal Space. I'd like to thank you all for coming to Brixton and supporting us. It's a European premiere of Olives and Blood by US playwright Michael Bradford. So this show is being live streamed to the world. So there'll be people in the States watching this show, and last night somebody was watching it in Nashville. So I do hope you enjoy the show. There will be feedback forms. If you could possibly fill them in, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you, Donny Membrives, for that wonderful welcome that you and your company provided me when I arrived at the pier this morning. I could hear my name, Federico, floating over the rails of the ship, and I myself feel as if I had been floating since arriving here in Buenos Aires. To those of you who have attended Donny Membrives' production of Blood Wedding at Teatro Maipo and are here as well, a double thank you. Let me begin by saying that I am a poet, an Andalusian poet. I was born in the Vegas, surrounding the old and beautiful city of Granada. Surely I must be interested in the pure abstraction of language, or the vagaries of language, or what appears to be metaphysical. But no, I am not. I am interested in that mysterious universe, which is the human capacity to survive the negation of desire.
Listen, my son, I'm leaving you land and manufacturing businesses from these two hands. You see how huge they are? Weathered? Why? Because when I had blood in these arms, breath in these lungs, I worked the land. When you dig your fingers into the earth, it makes you like one of its own. You understand?
Does it surprise you to know that you have a universe in your heart? No, it does not. Why then do you think it is possible to know its every star, how bright they shine, how intensely they burn when it falls?
The first tree I ever dug up, the roots had hands like these, and I knew the ground was where I belonged, for every part of it opened up to me like a woman. This is where my fortune would be made. Nothing, not 1 ounce of help came from my lazy brothers or my illiterate father. Nothing from these two hands. Life is doing.
Because it is clear to me that we are at the mercy of nature from within, from without. As a dramatist, I am certain this is the beginning of all tragedy.
You do something, and you'll never be hungry. You'll never be without a woman to bring you something cool in the courtyard in the late afternoons. You'll be respected, and... well, listen, just do the best you can.
What you leave to me, I promise to leave to my son, and it will be worth twice, 3 times its worth in land holdings and factories and property.
Who can stand at the edge of the water when the moon is seducing the sea and not want to make love to its deepest, darkest, breathless depths? In this case, does the lover really care that death cannot be avoided?
Don't waste your time with what a man says or the company he keeps. Judge a man by what he does, because that is the truth. I used to say to my brother, take off those soft shoes you love to wear and pull on some boots that stink all to hell of work and sweat. Do something.
It is this death which must be given flesh if theatre is going to survive its latest decline. Poetry that rises from the stage and becomes human enough to talk and shout and weep and despair.
Listen, if it does not go well for you, blame your mother.
This is a difficult task, is it not true? Because we have completely forgotten the human body in our theatre.
I will see to the factories in Madrid and Buenos Aires. My son will bring orchids to your grave. every Sunday morning.
I adored your mother. But her brothers, one and all, a more beautiful trio of idiots, was never born.
The daughters of the peasant woman working at the mills will wash my feet every Saturday night, just like their mothers washed yours.
You don't know this, but I was in the room the very moment your mother gave birth to you, God rest her soul. Between birth and death, do you know how many men are afraid to simply be in the room?
You don't even know how the whole of Granada will sing your name.
A beautiful boy, Senor Eduardo. That's what the midwife said to me. And I slapped her so cleanly she flew across the room as if she had wings. I swear, she never said another word correctly the rest of her life. What kind of man wants a beautiful boy?
We must present a festival of the body, from the toes to the hair. Its harmony, its rhythm has been completely forgotten. We must restore value to the body in our theatre. That is what I'm trying to do.
Just do the best you can, son. It is always best to know the truth. Whether or not you choose the lie is another matter altogether.
In this kind of theatre, death has the opportunity to stand on its hind legs and demand an audience.
There is not one piece of your business that I do not know about. Wait a moment, Father, wait! Did you see how I stood up? In Granada, in the Civil War, even beyond the grave, I am certain that you
Name your uncles. They were worthless, one and all.
I was there.
The greater the poet, the greater the drama. I cannot deny that I am a great poet, but in the theatre, I am still a novice. My work has just begun. I find it absolutely amazing, don't you?
What?
That out of all the people you drove to the hillsides, and the dark ravines, and the little graveyards, it is me you dream about.
Do you think you are something beyond flesh? You think you are... You are... What is it?
Is this a residence of Louis Triscanti?
I'm a pensioner. I have nothing to...
I've a letter for you.
A letter? Leave it in the box.
Has to be signed for.
I'm telling you. If this is about money, I have a small...
It is from the office of the General Counsel of the Judiciary.
What is this about?
You haven't listened to the news?
I don't have a television. Haven't been out in a while.
It's all there.
You must have the wrong address.
You are Louis Triscanti, are you not?
What the hell does the General Counsel want with me?
If you have questions, there's a number for you to call.
What do you think? I have a phone in this place.
Yeah. Listen, I just need you to sign.
Give me a moment here.
Yeah, I've been at this all day. If you don't mind.
I'm trying to read the damn letter.
You have to sign either way. You sign here to say you got the notice, and here if you want a car.
Car.
If you want a car to come round for you tomorrow, sign here.
I don't know.
Yeah, I can't help you with the particulars. I don't read the letters. You have questions? Maybe somebody else in the building has a phone. Maybe you don't even bother to show up. Maybe. I don't know. You're my last. I'd like to get home.
I don't believe this. Look at this.
It's private.
Get away. You know what kind of business this is.
I deliver what's given to me, that's all.
It's dated weeks
I
ago.
don't know anything about it, please.
Bastards. Tomorrow they want me to appear. I suppose I'm the only one to bother with any of this nonsense. So, I am being summoned by the General Counsel of the Judiciary of Spain.
Yeah, I told you. I've been delivering these all day.
Still, there can't be too many of us left.
18. 18 of you still taking up space in this world. Now, if you don't mind.
After all this time, decades, now the issue must be dealt with tomorrow. What do they think? That in one night I can simply prepare a lifetime? Who gives a shit what the General Council wants? What?
Oh, pardon me, but what exactly do you have to prepare?
What damn business?
Oh, well, it's very simple, isn't it? Either you line people up, and then you shot them, or you didn't.
You see this? This is not a simple matter of who shot who. The politicians want to know where the bones are buried, the real ones, and the ones that float about in people's dreams.
Fine. If you want a car,
I see. You're just the messenger. I know how that works because that's all we did in the early days of the Civil War. All across Granada, we delivered plenty of messages. It's just that I always had the cojones to say I stood there on my own account, and none of this, I'm just the messenger.
yeah, it's private, right? Someone spat all over that flap and wrote private all across the front there because it's private. God, don't any of you know how to mind your own business?
If I had the good sense to mind my own business, you wouldn't have a Spain to be born in.
Oh, why is it that every one of you can't wait to tell me how you saved Spain from total oblivion? To think, I've lived my entire life in this country, and no one ever told me how you and your 17 fascist friends saved Spain from the barbarians gathering in France. Well, that letter you won't sign for sat on someone's desk for weeks, because no one on either side of the Parliament is in any hurry to hear what any of you lot have to say. Until they gave me that letter, I never heard of you. Well, I better run right home and tell my son what's missing from every history book he'll ever open.
What do you think? The General Franco was one man. By some miracle, he put down the entire leftist army with his bare hands.
Yeah, most of them are standing there with their hands tied behind their backs. One man can do a lot of damage.
I see. Now the messenger knows more than me, who lived more history than he ever forgot. You should stick to deliveries.
You're right. Please. If you want a car, be out front by noon. If not, you can Did you really say that?
What are you talking about?
After you and your friends kill one of Spain's greatest poets, you stand over his body and add insult to injury. Then later, in a bar full of people, you tell them about the 2 last shots in García Lorca. I mean, did you really say that?
You see? You know exactly who I am. But this is why you should simply go and be a delivery for men like me. Because that is all you are good for. The young, an entire country, driven to shit after what we fought for.
Tomorrow, noon.
So, you want to talk to me? Fine. Let's talk. You and me, Mr. General Counsel of the Judiciary of Spain, because Spain is finally ready to hear the truth. Yes. 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 What did I tell you, Alonso? Patience and time. Time will bear us out. Time will prove how we sacrificed. It is always better to know the truth. Yes, go right ahead, Mr. General Counsel. Question me like I'm one of those idiots who never had the cojones to put the gun to use, because you want to know what is behind all the history written by men who never put their lives in their mouths and screamed across a field under fire. You want to know the truth? Is he ready
sent you in here to get
I
him.
gave him a moment to properly dress.
Louise, there is an entire company of men outside waiting.
Alonso, why have you sent this man in here to fetch me?
First of all, Luis Triscante does not fetch for anyone. That's number one.
The courtyard is full of men.
It is late. We must be leaving.
Why are there so many men in the courtyard?
What does it matter how many men are out there, Federico?
Because his father does a bit of business. What do you think? That he'd have some idea about how things work.
Does Signor Triscante have to be here?
He piddles about until you come, and then this is how he talks.
Louise.
I could have come in here and gone straight to business.
He is rude.
I'm rude. He thinks I'm rude. Have you looked at yourself in the mirror?
Listen. My father has owned land and factories since before you Garcias were born. The peasant women beg to wash his feet every Saturday night. So don't think for one moment that you are in a position...
Louis, that is not the reason we are here.
Why are you here, Alonso?
We have a warrant for your arrest.
My arrest? I'm simply here to do some work.
You came here to hide. Everyone knows it.
And all those men in the courtyard are here for me.
We have other stops to make before morning.
I'm a guest in this house.
People are always asking me, how is it possible that you and all your friends continue to paint and write and lecture and prance around with Spain on the edge of a civil war? I say to them, with Federico and his friends, there is only their art.
They're all a bunch of idiots. Of all the places he could be, he comes to Granada.
It will be the naming day for my father.
He doesn't even know who this house belongs to. And he talks to me as if I'm stupid.
He's right. You would have been safer in Buenos Aires, Mexico, Cuba even. And the very worst, you could have stayed in Madrid where you have friends. But here,
Don Luis Rosales is a friend of
I
mine.
don't mean to insult your profession, but words carry so little weight these days. There is only what one does.
I see. So I'm to be murdered.
Arrested.
Oh, please, my brother-in-law was arrested a few days ago, and I'm told just today. Murdered.
I say what it is I mean. The rest is not my decision. Listen, it's true. I never cared for you, and your work is offensive. But I'm not here for my own sake. We are under orders.
I could not even count the number of men in the court.
We must be leaving.
Don Luis Rosales will speak for me. Yes, he's a friend of
Who do
mine.
you think called us?
There is no one here to speak for you, Federico.
You cannot imagine who is in my guest room this very moment. Isn't that what Don Luis Rosales said to us?
You are to be arrested. It cannot be avoided.
Charge?
There is an issue of radio communication and spying with the Communist Party of Russia.
Russia! Alonso, this is Spain! There's not a race of people on earth with more imagination, and that's the best they can come up with. That's the reason you came bursting into
You
my heart.
poets, nothing simply happens for you. No one has come bursting in.
What does it matter the reason? Let's go.
Alonso, we have known each other for
We
years.
have sat in the same classroom, sometimes the same cafes, but we do not know each other. The likes of the Garcia Lorcas have never known the likes of the Ruiz Alonsos.
So this is about money, is it? This is about class? Wait. Alonso, I don't know anybody in Russia. Don Luis Rosales is a friend of mine. Luis Rosales? I've done nothing wrong. I have done nothing wrong, Alonso. Please. You know what will happen if I'm arrested. I am just here to work! Ah!
Don't be a woman.
Please. We have a great deal more work to do before morning.
You should not be here.
Neither should you. But here we are. that half an hour ago.
A man should be properly dressed for his own death.
Fine. But you can be the one to clean up the mess he leaves behind when he's gone. When they're all gone. Gather his papers. Kindling for a fire.
With 1,000 people, and the floor is cleaner than anything I've seen in this flat. But at least you must do something about that bathroom.
If you had some patience about you, instead of always tapping your feet, maybe I would be able to remember.
This is the third siesta I've spent in this filthy place, listening to you on and on about your father and his business, about all your sacrificing without giving me the one piece of information I have asked you for. I realize you are lonely, but it is not my business to keep you company. Take your stories to one of your many friends in the barracks.
Since
Show somebody there who want to reminisce with you.
Since General Franco's death, Spain's gone to shit. I've no desire to leave this flat.
Obviously. But if you are not going to tell me what I ask you, there is no reason for me to be here. This dance that we are doing is not worth my time.
You realize, of course, that when your grandmother and your mother serviced me, my living and business arrangements were much different.
No, you don't get to speak about my grandmother or my mom.
No, of course. I'm simply saying, with your mother,
My mother begged me not to come here.
I cannot imagine why she would.
She said you were filthy then and would be the same now, if not worse.
I'm in no mood for such a mouth.
She said your impotence was a gift. Just short of your death. I can only imagine the relief she must have felt the first time she realized nothing was going to happen.
Did you hear me?
What did it feel like? After everything you have given to Spain, to have a graveyard in your crotch.
Who do you think you're talking to?
I would not have expected you to simply answer my question.
People like you should not have expectations. You will always be disappointed.
And you? How disappointed are you? Look at this place. This is what all of that dirty business of murdering men, women, and children has gotten me. You're lucky anyone ever knocks at your door. I'm gonna please with the decency not to waste my time, but no.
I had no idea you're such a philosopher.
It is the natural hazard of dealing with drunks and impotent men. Sooner or later, everything has to be clearly explained.
Why do you insist on asking me this question about your grandfather? It's been over 40 years.
You know perfectly well these questions could not even be asked until now.
Keep expecting each visit to be your last. There must be some other reason for you to come here.
There is no other reason. And you know what my grandmother knew. What little any woman knows even today. That her husband, or father, or son, or brother was last seen in the backseat of your car.
Surely you've been listening to the news about the inquiry.
You mean this business about the mass graves?
Maybe you should wait until the politicians...
The politicians are still trying to figure out how to become a democracy 5 years after we put Franco in the ground. Those of us with family thrown into ditches like rubbish make it our business to find them. I doubt these inquiries are anything more than talk.
Maybe this year will be different.
I have no desire to wait for the guy. Either you're the person who can tell me what I want to know, or you have nothing. Maybe you weren't even there. Maybe you're just an old drunk who's pissed away all of his father's money, living in filth with nothing but stories.
Maybe you should leave.
With pleasure.
Good evening. Yes, of course. Mañana. if you'll allow me a moment.
Simba, you must do this again.
No! I have done this a million times. I will not do this again tonight.
It's a simple matter of understanding the
How
tonality.
is it not a
emotional
simple
meter.
matter? I don't understand why you must be so particular. You don't leave me room for my art.
Because you keep going into the wrong room.
I see. It is late. The others have long since gone home. Maybe tomorrow.
Yes, tomorrow. Tomorrow there will be play, the director, but not this play, not Blood Wedding, and not me!
I cannot do this.
The romantic theatre is dead. We must be precise in our craft. The poetry and prose cannot be sung in the same key by your voice or your body.
I have been in this company for many years. Do not presume to tell
Yet
me.
both poetry and prose must be steeped in flesh and blood and rooted to the earth. If there is no blood, there is no duende.
The bride cannot come to this mother's house where all the men have been sent to their graves before their time as if she is not to blame.
Can we blame Jocasta for her bed? Or Medea for her children? What is the point in blaming blood? Your hands and your feet and your lips, they beg forgiveness, but not your blood. You know this. If you concede this, you will not apologize, which is why you bridled Leonardo's horse and ran away to the forest with him. This is the nature of tragedy. So we see this is not a precious moment, something romanticized. She is not here to apologize.
I cannot do this.
Then we are in trouble. Because Signora Ziragu has said that there is no one in all of Spain who can come close to the kind of truth that I am asking for.
Demanding.
Yes, demanding.
This is madness.
Well, I would hope so. Otherwise, what we attempt is a complete waste of time. We might as well shut the doors of every theatre in Spain.
Because I ran away with another man. I ran away. You would have gone too. I was a woman consumed by fire, covered with sores, inside and out. And your son was a little bit of water, from whom I had hoped children, land, health. But the other was a dark river filled with branches that bore close to me the whisper of its rushes and its murmuring song. And I would go with your son, who was like a little boy made of cold water.
She rips away the scaffolding of the song and rides on the draft of its own existence.
But the other would send hundreds of birds that blocked my way and left frost on the wounds of this poor wasted woman. A girl caressed by fire. I didn't want to. Listen to me. I didn't want to.
Fear, as clear as death, ripples through the room.
Your son was what I wanted. And I have not deceived him.
Chest of people heave as if they had just made love.
But the arm of the other dragged me like the surge of the sea, and would have dragged me always. Always. Even if I were old, and all the sons of your son held me by the hair.
Duende bursts from the lips into the room. Language is but a trifle.
There is nothing to say?
No.
I should leave then.
Yes.
Tomorrow. I should walk you.
Oh, no, it's fine. Someone is waiting for me. Tomorrow.
Did you really think you could have murdered that?
I wonder if you can do something for me.
I've done enough for one day. What is this?
You don't want to know.
An official inquiry into the murder of Federico García Lorca and the mass graves in 17 autonomous communities. Everyone knows you and your friends murdered Lorca.
No one murdered the poet or anyone else. There is no such thing as murder in war.
3 days! You have said nothing to me. And they want you to testify.
Because it is one thing to hear from a second-rate field soldier wasting away in a sanitarium, and quite another to hear the truth from someone who was there, standing knee-deep in all the blood and shit of war. In fact, we must give the General Counsel a bit of credit for conducting this investigation, since it is clear that since Franco died, the left have no true desire to know the truth.
Do you really have anything worthwhile to say?
Did you read the letter? Whose name is that? What do you think? That the General Council are going to waste their time with peasants and foot soldiers? You're finally going to talk to someone who is actually there. Isn't that why you took the time to search me out and come here? To talk to someone who knows, literally, where the bones are buried.
That's right, son. It is always best to know the truth.
Dear Senor Juan Luis Triscante Medina, the General Council of the Judiciary
I read the
of
letter.
Spain.
What do you want from me?
I don't have a clean jacket.
You want me to launder a jacket for you? Why would I launder a jacket for you?
That's it, son. Business is business, and a peasant is a peasant.
Lorca is not the only one they want to know about.
Why shouldn't she do whatever she can for you?
You have no idea how many traitors of Spain I dealt with in the Civil War and after. Tens, hundreds, maybe. Sons, daughters, mothers, fathers, grandfathers, even. Every single one of them would have destroyed Spain. And I remember every one.
This is a piece of rat hair.
When is the last time someone sent a car for you?
If a woman isn't washing your feet every Saturday night, then what the hell good is she?
It's about time they give me the respect I deserve for all that I've sacrificed.
Listen, if it all goes sour for you, blame your mother, God rest her soul.
At the very least, they will know the legacy they deprived me of before the day is out.
If you end your days in nothing but filth, with no one to bring you something cool in the courtyard in the late afternoons, blame my shiftless brothers.
Where is my name in the history books? On a simple plaque in Plaza Mayor, for Christ's sake.
Just do the best you can, son.
It will be fine. It just needs to be freshened.
So you're going to testify? In front of judges and lawyers and all of Spain.
And then there will be no more need for you to come to this place.
I imagine it will be easier for you. The camera's flashing and the microphones.
Car will be here at noon.
You're absolutely right. Spain deserves to see you sitting there. Freshly laundered jacket. It's a small price to pay.
You'll need to be here with my jacket first thing in the morning.
Of course.
Have them fix the lining a bit.
Fine.
Good as a jacket without a proper
I
lining.
said fine. Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
well and come and see me much later.
I was in no hurry to die, Federico. How long have you been hiding here?
I'm not hiding here. I'm waiting with Pablo for news of you. Besides, Neruda's apartment is the best place to write in Madrid. Look at this view.
You must be at the market.
He was hungry.
Who'd have thought an overweight diplomat could have so much grace?
Jose Bergamin called this morning. Said that you died.
As if I am the first bullfighter ever gored to death.
Ignacio, the pension of a retired torero was nothing to cry about. You could
It was
have
not money that drove me back to the Plaza de Toros, Federico. I know you understand this. Was it the money from Blood Wedding that you sent home to your father? No. It was your heart. It was my heart.
But you must have known returning to the Plaza was complete madness.
Of course it was madness. But a woman who carries a knife between her thighs is madness, and yet she cannot be avoided.
Anything can be avoided.
No. Once you enter that plaza, someone must bleed. You understand this better than most. This cannot be avoided.
I should have chained you to the side of that mountain.
This desire did not begin with birth nor end with death.
It certainly has ended. It ended the moment you entered the Plaza.
Romero killed 6, 8 bulls in one day when he was 18.
You know what I am saying? The moment Ortega's car flew over the side of that cliff,
Stop this.
I knew they would call you to replace
Stop
him. And I
this.
knew you could not say no to such a request.
The ritual of the bull is a fight to the death, and I would not live without it.
How is it with you now?
As if my thigh has been burned by a million suns. Look,
I want to see it.
I am only anxious to return to the olive groves just outside Sevilla. In my childhood, I spent many nights in the fields where the shadows of the bulls ran through the branches of the olive trees. And I'm telling you, Federico, I killed them all.
But you are here.
Yes, my friend. There is a truth only the dead can deliver in spades, and you must hear it.
I don't want to hear it. I can't bear it.
Anyone with good sense would not want to bear it.
Already rain falls into your mouth.
But it has already begun for you, my friend. The gate has opened. The bull has come rushing out.
Already air has escaped your chest in a wild panic and fights through 6 feet of dirt.
As you lay out your Veronica and feel the bull come rushing beneath, so close that the blood from his neck stains your suit.
Hard men with hard voices full of sun and flint are singing you in the ground.
Whether you kill him cleanly or he drags you into the earth, you will forever be in the Plaza de Toros.
With 100 picadors, Ignacio, or as many bandoleros by my side, never!
It is too late, Federico.
I swear. I cannot bear it.
You must. Across the Plaza, the bull is annoyed. Every word of every poem you write is 1,000 swords in his neck. His blood is dripping into the dirt. And now, Federico, you must lay out your first Veronica before he strikes, because he will. There's nothing else to be done. It is his nature. This cannot be avoided.
You should go now. It will be evening soon, and the bulls will be in the olive trees, waiting for you.
Do not say it began at 5 in the afternoon, because it did not.
My beautiful Andalusian, I am a poet. In these matters you must trust me. The corrida always begins at 5 in the afternoon. 5 in the afternoon. It was exactly 5 in the afternoon. And the boy brought the white sheet at 5 in the afternoon.
Federico, have you seen the paper today? A new Conservative Party's been formed after Mussolini's fascism.
Francisco, I come to Bernarda to get away from the world, to write, not to hear about the
They've
news
slowed
of
the
the
government
latest-
to a halt and demanded they now decide the new appointment of Minister of War.
Francisco, a moment's peace. The Gypsy Ballads are in their 5th edition, and the Lament to Ignacio is in every bookstore.
General Francisco Franco has been named the new military chief of staff. Do you know who this man is?
In Madrid alone, there is to be a festival of Federico.
Everyone knows he fabricated the evidence against the Prime Minister.
3 plays, all at once. Yerma, blood wedding, and the shoemaker's prodigious wife. Can you imagine?
What I can imagine is the rise of fascism in Spain without a single cry from anyone.
We have too many friends in government who love decency and freedom.
Oh, there's no shortage of decent men. The question is, what are they willing to do? What are you willing to do?
Before I left Madrid, 100 intellectuals and artists signed a petition in protest of the imprisonment of our former Prime Minister.
Petitions! Federico, the fascists are busy plotting the overthrow of our government, and you are trotting around Madrid with petitions. Forgive me. I'm a diplomat, prone to believe the worst in men. Mother has missed you. Clearly, with your success in Buenos Aires and Madrid, it is not easy to find the time to come home, and we are all very glad you are home. Particularly Father, who should be here any moment to see his firstborn, now financially stable son.
What are you talking about? I can't spend it fast enough.
It took you long enough.
And I have plenty more work to do before I'm tucked away into a hillside behind the house, which is why I come home.
I'm sure you're right. Forget I said anything. I simply will not to be a Spain left for us to live in.
Oh.
Francisco, Isabella, Federico, your father, come quickly.
I will have a child because I must, or else I don't understand the world. Sometimes, when I am sure that never a wave of fire shoots up from my feet to make everything seem empty.
May I just ask?
Federico, we have been together since blood wedding, and so by now you would allow me. No, of course not. It is your work.
Is a son you truly desire?
You did not feel the truth in what I said.
I'm simply trying to be clear about what it is you desire.
I have been begging for a child, particularly a son, for the entire play.
Yes, but a son who will torture you. A son who will drag you through the streets by your
There
hair.
is a certain degree of mystery in one's obsession.
I see. Yes, during the rite of fertility, the old woman offers Yerma the virility of her son, and yet Yerma refuses.
There are always social pressures bearing down upon her. It is Spain, is it not?
Yes, but an obsession with boundaries is a contradiction,
She
is it
cannot
not?
simply leave her husband for another man. Her desire is complicated by society.
Yet she finds the strength to strangle her own husband to
Shall
death.
I do the lines again? Perhaps in a lower register. Perhaps we should divide the individual words amongst the women in the crowd.
Did your favourite aunt beat her head against the wall every time there was new laundry to be put on the line? Did your nursemaid weep simply at the smell of rain long before it came? Can they tell you why? No! What is it that you truly desire?
I don't see what that is any usual business.
Can you live without it? Can you love and sleep and laugh with the other women at the well and keep the secrets of your man from every inquiry? Well, if so, then go home. Forget the theatre. For this is a place for those of us whose every desire is a mystery and drives us to breathe one moment and then death the next. Yerma's desire for completion makes her available for her own son to drag her through the streets by her hair. In the end, this is a desire that is beyond language. It is beyond anything an animal can lick clean. This is a despair that sticks its tongue down Yerma's throat in search of her taste. But if you want, I can divide the lines up amongst the chorus. Can we go from your last line, please?
It was not me who put it there. It was you who put it there, with your behavior. And now the whole town is beginning to talk. To talk! When I go and join a group of people, they all grow quiet. When I go to weigh the flour, they all grow quiet. Even at night,
When I wake in the fields, he says if the branches on the trees grow quiet too.
Those evil winds that knock the wheat down, I don't know what is that. See for yourself if the wheat is good.
Nor do I know what a woman is looking for out of our house at all hours.
I'm looking for you. I'm looking for you. It's you I look for day and night without finding any shade where I can rest. It's your blood and your help I want.
Get away from me!
Don't push me away! Want with me!
Stop
it! See how alone I am. Like the moon trying to find herself in the sky. Look at me. Look at me. Please look at me.
Your line? Listen, we're not at the end of the movement here. If you pause here, it dilutes the intention and gives a false ending. Not until Yerma curses her blood is it possible for you to move
Why
on.
do you insist upon this here?
I did not bring this here. It doesn't rehearse it.
Look at me. Why do you find it necessary to demand this of me? Since it all began. Can I be blamed for all of this?
No, I do not say this for me. It is the play.
She was mine. My child as well. Forgive me. It is simply the strength of your work, Senor Lorca. May I have a moment?
Please.
You should have changed into something in the house. That would have put an end to all of that trouble.
That would have been the beginning of his trouble.
What do you know about it? About what to do with a woman?
I'd love to lose myself in your dark country, Maria del Carmen. I'd love to lose myself in your trembling breasts, in the black depths of your soft body. It surprises you to know I have such a universe in my heart?
You think you are something beyond flesh?
You think you can simply look at me and know my every star, how bright they shine, how intensely they burn, simply because you stood next to me on that hillside in Vietnam.
You think you are something that does not go back into the ground.
We all go back into the ground, Signor Triscantini. That is not the point.
No, because I bled you like all the rest. You went into the ground like all the rest. The flesh has fallen from your bones, just like all the rest.
Yes. But were you aware there was no moon that morning?
Of course there was a moon.
The sun had not yet risen. We were somewhere between the end and the beginning.
You don't remember a thing.
On a hillside, next to the two anarchists and the teacher. He still had his case of books.
Life is either this or that, alive or dead. Either the sun is in the sky or there is a moon. There is always a
His
moon.
lecture notes on astronomy, the cycles of the moon, his almanac.
You think you can come into my dreams and tell me about the cycles of the moon because I don't know.
Everything you could possibly want to know about the changing of the seasons.
That's all my father ever spoke about. You think I wasn't listening?
Of course you were listening. But did you ever stand barefoot in your father's fields, Signor Triscante, in the shadows cut by the moon and watch the earth bleed? Or did you fear for the snakes?
Fear? Don't be a woman. Who goes into a field at night anyway when it's full of snakes? What kind of idiot goes looking for death?
Every day, teachers, bullfighters, poets, murderers, Children, gravediggers, shopkeepers, butchers, we have all gone looking for death, but not you, Signor Triscante. You have never stood in your father's field, olive trees for miles, and bled for every single thing that you have ever loved. Have you?
You see this? When history was happening, I was there. They're sending a car for me because they want to hear the truth. Not some nonsense about what kind of moon or who goes to the truth. And the truth is, I put you into the ground with 2 anarchists and a teacher, and there's not a single bit of flesh on any one of your bones. I heard every lesson my father ever taught me. You do something and you'll never be hungry. You'll never be without a woman to bring you something cool in the courtyard in the late afternoon. You'll be respected and your name will echo across the ages. That's right. Echo across the ages. Echo across the ages. I was listening.
If you could make your way downstairs, because a set needs to be changed. You have a 15-minute break. Okay, thank you very much.
I see no reason to join a particular political party. Artists are revolutionaries by nature. One would think that joining the business of politics would bring structure to the action. On the contrary, politics utterly destroys a good revolutionary.
When you were a small boy, I still had a great deal of hope for me, for you, for all of us. Yes, hope.
It is the same mistake to think that training solely in one's craft would lead him to his duende.
You would come home from a day of adventure, the maid screaming your name through her crooked lips, and you would not hear a word of her cacophony. Not a word, for you were in the woods, beyond the fields, on the northern edge of the property. When you came home, sometimes just before dusk, you were filthy. Do you remember? Dirt in your ears, the women would cry. Dirt in your ears.
My friend, Ignacio Sanchez Mejias. He was well aware of this fact, and he would have entered the bull ring at any age. He would have called us all cowards, even to think otherwise.
I see it now. Do you know when it happened? It is not easy to tell, because it crept in, unbeknownst to me. It began with a bit of paleness, as if you were ill. Well, of course you were ill. Sick with a certain destruction, with just a hint of madness.
For the bullfighter to show you the geometry of his craft. He may fool you for an afternoon, but then his bones will show, and rip his beautiful suit of lights to pieces.
But did you not see the letter? The General Council of the Judiciary of Spain asks for me.
Act as if you got an ounce of sense in your head. You're too old for this nonsense.
The smell of lime on that hillside was enough to drop all of us to our knees. That is what is true.
It is always best to know the truth. Whether or not you tell the lie is another matter altogether.
And then we were tripping over the still freshly covered graves with loaded weapons on our hips. It's lucky we didn't shoot each other. It was so damp. Was it that dark?
It does not go well for you. Blame your... See, that's the trouble with this approach to things. You run out of viable people to blame, and then you're right back where you began, looking at a mirror with a revolver in your hand.
But for the true torero, his duende dances so cleanly against the wall that we forget it is his heart he continually throws over the horns of the bull. And when he is gored, we are incredulous. We cannot bear to look. We cannot bear to look away.
You could blame my eldest brother. He was useless. What does it matter? In the end, you are right back where you began. Even now, when I am simply a shadow. Having you for a son, there's a certain sense of desolation to it.
Everywhere else in the world, death is an end. But in Spain, it is a beginning. The dead are always more alive than the day they were born.
Federico!
Margarita! I was hoping to slip away before anybody noticed.
There was an ovation for you at every curtain. There is no slipping away for you.
The ovations were not for me. No one can bring my work to the stage like Margarita Xirgo and her
It won't
company.
work. The entire company was waiting to see you at the theater. At the very
This
least...
is the last train to Madrid for a few days. I did not take the chance.
I was waiting to see you, Federico. Me.
I know. I can't bear it. When we have spent time together and then you are leaving, I'm undone for a week at the very least. And I have so much work to do.
Come to Cuba with us. I can send the company on tomorrow and you and I can follow in a few days. In a week, even.
I've been away from Madrid for far too long. There's a layer of dust over everything, over everyone I love.
bring him as well. Everyone in the company is your friend. You will have a degree of freedom or privacy. I promise he will be your only distraction.
I would not get a piece of work
Don't
done.
do this to me, Federico. All these actors are young and beautiful. I need a hint of your melancholy to keep you rooted to the stage.
I promise you, I'll bring you lots of new work to make, Holes.
Surely you can write something worthwhile in Cuba. Come. Spend your days writing and your evenings reading to me. Well, some of your evenings. The last trip to Cuba was quite legendary.
Just a few days in Madrid, and then a quick visit to my family in Granada, where I always write like a madman.
Federico, there is a foul wind blowing in Spain. I feel it. I know you feel it. You must come with us, just for a bit, that I promise to send you home to Madrid in one piece.
Do you miss Ignacio?
Oh, don't be morbid.
Sometimes I feel like his death was a rehearsal for my own.
I miss Ignacio a great deal. We are not talking about Ignacio or the bullring, or even something as poetic as fate. We are talking about you.
It will be the naming day for my father, and I must be in
We are
Spain.
divorced from me. Say goodbye.
Your heart is my home. My heart, your orchard. I have 4 little doves. 4 little doves. My heart, your home. Your heart, my orchard. Mexico.
Don't you dare send me one of your infamous telegraphs begging forgiveness. I swear, I will never speak to you again. Forget you wrote a word.
What are you doing here?
Your jacket. Did you forget?
Thought you might have come to simply aggravate me before the car arrived.
On the bed.
This is not my jacket.
Your jacket disintegrated the moment the laundry began to clean it.
Senor Valencia is the only half-decent tailor in Madrid. Who is this Albert Machez?
Senor Valencia has been dead for 10 years, and his son has done only slightly better than you at maintaining his father's business.
Did you see this?
Today, for you, Albert Machez is a distant cousin to Senor Valencia, and at this moment, he is your only option.
What did I tell you about a proper lining?
Why don't I save you the trouble and cut the suit to pieces? And then you can go sit in front of the general counsel in your undershirt and the one kind of pants I own that shoves the top of your ass.
You realize the peasant woman working at my father's mills would line up every Saturday night just to wash his feet.
Maybe they were the same women who put ground glass in his paper paella.
What do you think? That aristocratic men are here to be loved? The peasants who gathered in the orchard, carrying buckets of water from the well, who pulled my father's filthy boots full of the stench of work from his feet in order to soap and wash and lotion them with fragrant cream, do not do so out of love. No, something much older, something from a deeper vein compelled them. Obligation. That's right. It was no different from me in the war, and it was no different from your grandmother, your mother, and now for you. The very first time I saw you standing in my doorway, I was certain that you had no desire to be here. But if we must be true, we all must sacrifice out of a sense of obligation. There is something I want to talk to you about.
I have other business.
Tight around the chest. chest. And of course, the cuffs run higher than I prefer.
And anyway, I'm going to hear everything I need to from you this afternoon.
This is what I want to talk to you about.
I see. So you're going to give them the same history lesson you've given me these past 3 days? I knew this would be simply talking.
No, that's not it at all. I'm quite sure my testimony today will be recorded, maybe even televised. But I would rather that you hear this from me in person and not in the daily paper or the television news. It is simply a sense of decorum, a sense of properness that compels me. Having known your family all of these years, I feel a certain sense of closeness to you.
You're not going to wear those shoes, are you? They're hideous.
Maybe you should place the revolver back on the bed before I tell you this.
I just wanted to feel it. It felt so light when you pointed it at me yesterday. When I left, I thought, maybe that is why you found it so easy to kill so many people. Maybe it's so light you don't feel anything when you're shooting someone.
And now?
It's heavier than I would have thought, but nothing extraordinary.
That's fine. Maybe you should keep it.
After today, you might need it more than ever.
What I possess here is more powerful than a whole armory of weapons. In 1939, your grandfather fought for the leftists in the north and after the fall of Barcelona.
I know the history of my own family.
Yes, of course. But I think there are things you need to know about in order to appreciate the unique circumstances that bring us to this moment. I'm sure you know how common it was on the left and the right to kill sometimes the entire family of someone considered dangerous to the state. Boys become men and women, well, no one can cut you cleaner than an angry woman. So when your grandmother approached me one day in the market and said to me, I am told my husband has been killed. Tell me, what must I do to keep the rest of my family alive and safe? You cannot imagine how much I appreciated her forthrightness. I thought I want to know this woman. And of course, for 3 generations now we have been dancing. But that is not what is so unique about what brings us to this moment. Your grandfather was in the barracks just over a week. But even now I am surprised he survived those many days, because he was tortured to the point of death many times. I was there, and I have never known anyone with his capacity for pain. You cannot imagine the sort. Well, maybe you can. But in that entire week, he never said a word. Even at the moment I relieved him of his misery, nothing. He simply smiled at me. So you see, if your grandmother had not approached me that day in the market, I would have never have even known that she existed, and you and I would not have this moment together. After all your family has been through, after years of fulfilling a sacrifice, I felt that you should hear the truth from me, from someone who was there. What did you think? That because I live in this filth, I don't know how to be decent? How could some journalist or camera possibly tell you this story? Wait. Don't you want to know where your grandfather is buried? After all, that is the one simple question that you have been asking all this time, is it not? Or maybe you would rather kill me.
My mother was right. I should never have come to this filthy place.
But you did! Again and again! It's been decades since I last saw your mother. You cannot imagine how surprised I was to see you standing in my doorway. Yes, you wanted the particulars about your grandfather, but you returned to something else as well. To see me in this condition, to humiliate me. Yes, I'm sure it was a simple question to ask, but was it really such a small price to pay?
And what does it cost you, Signor Trescante, to be this kind of man in the world? What is the price you have to pay?
Actually, the jacket is not so bad.
Why do people like you live forever?
Because sooner or later, everything must be clearly explained. Yes? Alonso? Alonso! It has been years.
Yes, it's been a while.
What are you doing here?
Rivera, we've all gotten the same summons. You must have gotten them as well.
Of course.
Amargo Rivera and me, we've all got the same summons.
What about time?
Time for what?
Time for Spain to show some respect. Since Franco passed.
Who gives a shit about Franco? What did Franco do for anyone but Franco?
Right. Of course, that's right. But at least while he
What are you
rounded
doing
up-
here?
I mean,
This place is filthy.
it's not so bad.
When Rivera told me you lived in this neighborhood, I refused to believe him.
Since Franco, my investment.
This is the worst neighborhood in Madrid.
I'm telling you, the policies of the left have driven the entire country to shit.
Your father had factories all over Spain, well after the war. How did... No. It's very clear you never worked for a living, did you? Not like the rest of us.
There's not one piece of my father's business that I didn't know about. The car will be here at noon. We can go together.
I came here to tell you that I'm not going. In fact, none of us are going. We've gotten a lawyer.
The lawyer.
He's filing some sort of appeal at this moment, put a stop to things.
Your testimony may be given without fear of reprisal.
What has that got to do with it?
I just want to hear it. That's all. The truth. There's no threat of jail or prison. That's how badly they want to know.
You think any of us are scared of prison? Damn politicians. Let them suffer the way we suffered. We did what we did under direct orders. And people die in a war. People are taken out to wars and graveyards and hillsides and shot for who knows what reason on both sides. And you think we're going to sit and answer the questions of some self-righteous ass who doesn't even know what he's asking? General Counsel.
Assigned to the receipt.
Listen, we have quiet lives now, Luis, those of us that are still here.
The car will be here at noon.
I'm telling you that none of us are going. It does not even matter what the lawyer has to say. There is no point of you going. I came to this filthy place to save you the trouble.
I can testify. I can put
Why
forth
would you want to embarrass yourself? Luis, anything you say is second-hand at best. There will be no one else there to testify to the actual facts because none of us are going.
What are you talking about?
You weren't there. How can you testify to anything?
You're telling me I wasn't there. I wasn't at the wall, in the graveyard, on the hillside in Visnau with Lorca, the teacher, and the two anarchists standing in front of me, shitting themselves.
What's wrong with you? were there because you were the only one with a car big enough to drive us all. 20, 30 times, you never even got out of the car. What can you testify to? The one time we gave you a revolver, you tripped over a fresh grave and nearly shot yourself.
I can testify to the truth.
Fine. Go and tell the truth. Go and tell the General Council that the truth is there was no moon that night and none of us could see a damn thing. It was so dark. It took Rivera, Margot, and me 5 shots just to finish Lorca, and by the time you shot the poet, he'd already been dead half an hour, because that is the truth. Listen, we let you have your story about 2 shots in the ass of the Maricon. Who knows why you needed that story, but we needed your car. Not to mention you spent money like water. Why do you want to go and sit at that damn table in front of those self-righteous asses and tell the General Council and all of Spain that you were just the driver? Wouldn't you rather keep what little you had left?
I signed the receipt.
You've been lying to yourself for so long, you've forgotten what the truth is, haven't you? Someone ought to tell you before you make a fool of yourself. Louise, you never killed anyone. You were never a member of the Black Squad. You followed us around like a little dog, and we let you. We let you have your story about Lorca and your lies to your bourgeois friends and the peasant women you scared or brought into your bed with your father's money. We hated to be seen with you. But your car was huge. That's all you're good for, Louise. Your car.
Get out.
Your father should have put you to work. Something to make you sweat. But you have never had to work for anything, have you? You have never had to believe in anything worth killing for, worth dying for. You're a fool. You always were. And take off that stupid jacket, for Christ's sake!
As I love you, green. Green the wind, and green the branches. The dark ship on the sea and the horse on the mountain, with her waist that's made of shadow, dreaming on the high veranda. Green the flesh, green the tresses, with eyes of frozen silver. Green, as I love you, green. Beneath the moon of the gypsies, silent things are looking at her. Things she cannot see.
The Rosales brothers are in the next room demanding your release.
I can hear everything from in here.
Good evening, then.
Alonso, look. It's clear that you're the only one who knows why I'm arrested.
Senor Rosales should be more cautious. He is not aware of every order that is issued.
He's your superior, and he's unaware of your orders.
I can think of a few reasons why he should not be notified of this particular order. It was his house, after all, that we found you hiding.
He seems angry.
He should be grateful a warrant has not been issued for him or his father.
You're going to kill me.
Didn't you just hear Rosales insulting me? He's on his way to Governor Valdez's house. This moment for your release. I doubt you'll even be here in the morning.
But after everybody has been talked to, you're going to kill me.
Yes. Of course.
So you could stop this! It's clear that you've just taken this upon yourself to do this. There was no order, no warrant.
Maybe no one gave you the warrant for your arrest. Maybe it came directly from this hand. But you're here now. And since you are here, it is not in the interest of the fascists for you to leave.
Alonso, you can stop this.
Why would I? You think I'm some kind of fool? There is the law, and then there is the reality of what happens. You don't know this.
Well, why did you arrest me?
You have done more damage with your pen than most do with weapons.
I'm just doing some work. I'm looking for the truth.
There is but one truth, this truth, for this moment, now, today. There is nothing simple about your work. You don't seem to understand.
I've done nothing to you.
Your work insults the church. Your personal preferences insult me. That is enough. Calm yourself. There is nothing your father's money or property can do for you now. Listen, I don't know how long it'll be before you are moved. It is not always easy to see Governor Valdez these days, and there is this tedious little process we all must adhere to before the final order is signed. Maybe you should return to your training and pray. Come the next few days, I promise we shall come to know each other very well. There is nothing more to be done.
So it is true then. You are the poet Garcia Lorca.
Yes.
Dios que lo colinda González.
My pleasure. Please.
Federico. I was in Santander 2 years ago, and I saw your theatre company, La Barraca, perform Calderón de la Barca and Lope de Vega.
Yes. What did you think?
I'm not one for theatre, but I do appreciate those that respect the masters. Tradition.
Yes, we were trying to recreate the foundation on which to build a new theatre, but Spain has other ideas.
My students and I are slowly making our way through your gypsy ballads.
Are you a teacher?
With your poems, some days a teacher, some days a student. You're here because of your work, I presume, and your private preferences.
And you?
Staunch leftist. My mouth has got me into this trouble. There are two bullfighters in the corner. Anarchists.
To be a leftist, of course, is clear, but anarchy, that is a philosophy I cannot understand.
There are those rare moments in history when a person can choose to believe exactly as they wish, and no particular philosophy is right, or wrong, or dangerous. But now, in such times where it seems easier to be murdered than it does to have even been born, anarchy seems quite appropriate.
Yes, but it seems to advocate a certain degree of sustained chaos, simply for the sake of chaos.
Green, as I love you greenly. There is a fair amount of chaos in just a few words there, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, but I am searching for something that words can provide the intimation of. A truth at the core of your being. Something you know beyond your intellect.
Well, I'm also sure our two friends over there would prefer to live in the eye of the storm rather than on its edges.
Maybe I should have been an anarchist.
I'm afraid it's too late for you, my friend. You're going to become one of Spain's greatest writers. I'm convinced.
I was going to be a lawyer.
Didn't work out.
No. Sooner or later we must reconcile ourselves to our realities.
In all areas.
True. When I was a boy in Fuentes Vaqueros, I saw a traveling puppet show. The next day I begged my mother for my own puppet theatre, and when it arrived, I gathered the servants, an audience for my first production, written, produced, and performed. In fact, my first actual venture into the theatre was a puppet piece. The Butterfly's Evil Spell. Please tell me you've never heard of it.
I've never heard of it.
A complete fiasco. But I always keep a puppet from the first toy that my mother brought me to remind me. In here. In here. Oh, how
God bears with the wicked, but not forever. approach your work is to approach another universe, a place filled with all the elegant complications of life and death. Unlike you and I, Federico, such things cannot be murdered.
My son loves those.
You're here. Just give me a moment.
Do you mind if I ask where you found that?
I don't remember where it came from.
May I? Oh, it's old.
Yes, very.
And heavy. They don't make them like this anymore.
No, of course not. Nothing today is half as decent as what we made with our own hands when I was a boy.
You made this?
No, of course not. But everything we had in those days was handmade by someone you could actually talk to, not some machine. Actually, I think I mentioned one day that I was interested, and of course the next day the whole theatre was waiting for me. I don't really remember having a great deal of interest in any of this puppetry business, but even as a small boy I had a great deal of respect for what was given to me. I've kept this puppet as a memento all these years.
You're looking forward to today then?
Just give me a moment.
You're prepared to sit at that table full of cameras and microphones and reporters, answering all those questions?
What do you think? That a man wakes up one day and cannot wait for a moment like this? No. But Spain has forgotten its debts. Forgotten those of us who fought for her. Who sacrificed everything for her.
Yeah, listen. I'm only here because you have no phone. It was decided just this morning and there's no way to call. There's no hearing today.
I see. So the lawyer has caused a delay.
No, there's no delay.
Then what is the
The commission has been dismantled, shut down. All the investigations have been closed. All the members of the court have been sent home.
What is
It's
it?
very simple. No one on either side of the parliament can decide on what to do with the outcome of the hearings. Who in the government is liable? Will mass graves be dug up immediately? Finally, they decide it's best not to begin at all.
Yesterday, there were crimes against humanity. Oh, and today, there's no crime. Cowards! No one has the balls!
There is still the crime. There is a list of 130,000 men, women and children found in mass graves. Do you understand? 130,000 people, Spaniards, that you and your friends put into the ground. Bones on top of bones. Some with the ropes and blindfolds still laying there. Some no bigger than my own son.
Oh, enemies of Spain come in all sizes.
I was hoping against hope that I would come here today and after 40 years you'd have looked in the mirror and found something human staring back at you. That for shame you would not want to go. But you can't wait to go and tell the world what you did. Or maybe it's best you don't go outside. Because then you know that Lorca isn't really dead. Turn on the news, open the paper, go to the plaza, the theatre, and he's there, living and breathing. Every day, somewhere in the world, someone is living his work. And you, by the time I reach the street, you'll be just as dead as you were before they gave me that letter.
I'm sure they don't make these anymore. You won't be able to find one like this anywhere. Maybe your son would like to have it.
I don't know which one of you's the puppet. And I'm certainly not taking you home.
put you all along the edges of the field. You're not a little boy anymore with dirt in your ears.
I want to see the priest.
Come into the field with me now. I want you to come and work in the field. Sow this seed. Do something. When are you coming to the factory, Luis?
I need to see the priest!
Do something, and you'll never see a lean day. Even now, the olives are ripe for the press. Their juice dripping off their limbs like blood, Luis. Dripping like blood.
I want to make my confession. The shout leaves a cypress shadow on the wind. Leave me in this field crying. Everything in the world is broken now. Nothing but silence remains. Leave me in this field crying. The lightless sky is bitten by the bonfires. I have already told you to leave me in this field crying!
What did I tell you about a proper lining even in the south? A man should be properly dressed for his own death.
Do you see me, Ignacio? I did not think I would be able to bear it. Look at me now. When I die, I felt every word I ever thought to write take flight from me like 1,000 blackbirds, their purple multitude reflecting the sun like stars in distant galaxies. Everywhere else in the world, death is an end. But in Spain, it is a beginning. The dead are always more alive than the day they were born. Look at me.
Downstairs there'll be a fountain pass and wine and whatever. Go ahead. Hi, darling. Did you understand it?
I got here.
It's about the poet Lorca.